Good morning, Yasha Allah. 12 tribes that have been scattered, that had been scattered all over the globe that we call Earth, and to the world at large. We come to bring and deposit another lesson for your edification. The title of our lesson today will be The Brilliance of Napoleon. That's right. We are discussing the brilliance of Napoleon. So let's go into it. You have your opening verse, but I want to supplement that verse with Proverbs 21 and 26. Let's read it and see what it says, Yasha Allah. And world out there, you want to see what Proverbs 21 and 26 says. Proverbs 21, 26. Well, it says, he covets greedily all day long. That might be a part of what it says, but that is the main point I need to make here in this lesson. Proverbs 21 and 26 says, he covets greedily all day long. And when we look at the brilliance of Napoleon, along with this verse of scripture in Proverbs that says, he covets greedily all day long. Therein, or herein, lies a clue to the problem of the joint revolution of France and IT, which the world would have us believe in their historical records. The historical records of Esau would have us believe that this revolution, or the revolutionary effort put on, conducted by France and IT, were separate battles, separate issues. But in fact, when we put the light of scripture on it, we see it is a combination battle that was put on, that was conducted for a very dangerous and specific purpose. And well, I can say to you right quickly, and in a nutshell, that this exercise of brilliance in the combined effort of the Napoleonic and Haitian Revolution was principally to achieve conducting the fallen Levitical priesthood into a captivity that would result in the production of the one we call the man of sin. And the brilliance of Napoleon, the son of the evil one, was that he had the conductor, doing the honors, playing the music that inspired the Revolutionary War, resulting in the fallen Levites of the scriptures taking the bait to rebel against the order of the Torah and directly against the Most High and the Mashiach, wherein they took the bait to violently depart from their service of priesthood unto the Most High, unto the Mashiach. I mean, directly, and turning away from the purpose they were under covenant to perform. And I've shared it with you in brief, I think several times, to make all understand, to have you come to the understanding that the order that the Levites were to perform the principal order that was theirs to perform was to point to Hamashiach, as Yochanan did in the opening chapters of the books they call the four Gospels. You find Yochanan representing or presenting Hamashiach as the Lamb of Yah, who takes away the sin of the world. Yochanan was a Levite. So here you have the Levites who were responsible for conducting the ceremonial services on behalf of the nation, or for the nation on behalf of the Most High. And so in the conduct of their services, they would come to the time in their ministry where they would point out the Mashiach that was born in the cradle of Jacob, who actually received the birthright and its blessings that was first offered to Esau as eldest of the twins. I want you to know, I want to make the connection for you that Napoleon was Esau. But here, as we speak about Levites, the closing of their mission under covenant was first to present the Mashiach as the Lamb of Yah that take away the sin of the world. And in the ending of their mission, the ending which occurred last year in our time today in Yom Kippur, that is otherwise known as the Day of Atonement. Last year, their mission would have come to its end. But they rebelled against the commandments, the Torah of the Most High. Even as Levites, they rebelled against it, cast it down. And in the revolution, which has been dubbed the Revolution for Haiti's Independence, a big lie. But that's how they have set it forth to be known as a historical event. The good news is that they could not. It was impossible for them to obliterate the prophecies and the fulfillment, positive or negative, the fulfillment of the covenant. In this case, there was a negative effect in their actions when it came to the joint revolutionary effort that is called the Haitian Revolution. In honor of the Haitians, they say that they gained their independence. But we have been able to see already that in this revolutionary war that came up because of France's the position that France was put in, the economic challenges that faced France, and that Haiti went over to France being a subject of France slavery exercise. There were slaves in Haiti, strategically put in Haiti by Satan, Gadriel, to induct them, the Levites, the fallen Levites, to induct them into the priesthood of the Catholic Church, wherein they got the inspiration. This was another inspiration they got. Beyond the inspiration that was theirs to gladden their hearts in the service of the Most High and service unto the Mashiach in his quest to be the Lamb, take away the sin of the world. And their participation, as we've seen already, was for their brother, the Levite brother, Yochanan, the baptizer, to present the Mashiach as the Lamb that takes away the sin of the world. And at the end of all the the works of the Mashiach. And well, in the ending of this work that the Mashiach would perform, he must be exalted into the priesthood. In fact, the high priesthood, it was the high priest that had the final say in the services of the sacrificial offerings, in particular when we deal with the Day of Atonement. And so in the ending of the performance, I use the word performance, in the ending of their duty unto the Most High, first to present the Mashiach to the nation of Yasha'Allah, as the baptizer did. But in the end, the ending of their mission that would come to a close after the Mashiach would do his sacrificial offering, go to Calvary and be brutally crucified by Esau, the Romans, with Herod, which exercise was to cancel the mission of salvation for the world that was committed to the birthright offering that Jacob accepted when the birthright was offered to the twin brothers. And so it had become Esau's mission to destroy that birthright blessing, having put it off from himself to receive the birthright as was offered, because the mission or its fulfillment would require a lamb of Yahweh Elohim to do the service of securing the mission of an offering for the sin of the world. And Esau was cautioned by Satan to reject it. And so he also was rejected from receiving the birthright. This is how it worked. And here, having offered himself, according to the introduction that Yochanan, the baptizer, a Levite, gave him before the nation. Now, at the end, in the ending of his offertory sacrificial offering, works, the Levite was again to be his escort into the set apart place, sanctuary in the Shamayim. And of course, I think I shared with you before the understanding of how there was a transference in the manner of conducting the priesthood from its earthly its earthly, I use the word performance, of the priesthood that Yochanan did in Jerusalem. But in the end of the world, as the Mashiach would ascend into the most set apart place of the sanctuary in the Shamayim to the high priestly ministry of expunging the sins of the nation to bring in everlasting righteousness and to confirm, to finish with the confirmation of the word to Abraham. Mashiach would then transfer into the most set apart place of the sanctuary as high priest, and there to take the position of offering the prayers of I can use the word reconciliation, but it was the high priestly offertory ministry to plead forgiveness on behalf of the nation, as would be required, particularly with regard to the time we're living in now, that's called the time of trouble. So he would have to be in place, because the Levites' mission would have come to an end when they would have seen him, escorted him into the most set apart of the sanctuary in the Shamayim. So this is the difference I wanted to highlight to you, that on earth, Yochanan the baptizer proclaimed him the Lamb, take away the sin. In heaven, in the Shamayim, they were to be his escort into the most set apart place. You see the difference in that? And in this position to escort the Mashiach into the most set apart of the sanctuary in heaven unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. In heaven, in the Shamayim, and the Levites were to participate in that and escort him there. How powerful, how wonderful is that? That the priests on earth would be allowed to escort Mashiach in the Shamayim, in heaven, into the high priesthood to minister forgiveness of sin because of his blood that was shed. And this is what the Levites turned their backs on and agreed in the time of what we call the Haitian Revolution. And I show you that that was a misnomer. That was what's the word I need? You know the word I need. It was a means of, I'll use a regular word, deflecting from the importance of what the Levite or the Levitical priesthood mission was, what it was that they were in covenant to do, escort the Mashiach. Being on earth, it was their mission to escort the Mashiach into the heavenly sanctuary, the most set apart. After the order of Melchizedek. And so the revolution, the joint revolution between Haiti and France was simply to overshadow what is going on in the Shamayim with respect to the need to bring before the Father the needs of the nation from the position of the high priest, not the everyday common priest, but the high priest that never dies. You remember in the Levitical system, we see in the book of Hebrews, that these priests could not continue in their ministry because they died. So another one had to keep on taking their place. But Abanawa provided himself a lamb that would be sacrificed. And also, because of his sacrifice, the power of an endless life, he had to take the ministry of the priesthood on his shoulders. It was only right in the eyes of the Most High, and it would be so in our eyes when we see what the situation required: an eternal priesthood that never died. To try and make that transition, get another priest prepared, fix him up that he could go and minister. Reconciliation for the people before the Most High. The Most High, in his wisdom, prepared for that and gave his lamb to take care of all of that. And it became the mission of the fallen priesthood of IT, the Levites. It was in their heart to obscure and to obliterate the purpose of their ministry at that time, since having become priests in the Catholic Church. You see the connection now. They were priests who had already been deposed. I mean, principally they were deposed because they departed from the priesthood. But they had a covenant with the Most High. From the time of Mount Sinai, they had a covenant to fulfill that priesthood order, which their brother Yochanan fulfilled. But those that were left behind of the Maccabeans that we see today in IT and elsewhere on the earth, they were to complete the mission by getting the Mashiach, escorting him, albeit they were on earth. They are indeed on earth, and the Mashiach in the Shamayim. But it's a wonderful thing to see how that was ordered by the Most High, that they being on earth would be able to escort the Mashiach into the most set apart of the sanctuary in the Shamayim, in heaven, to become an ever-living, undying priest, high priest, that is, before the Father. And this was the kernel of the seed of rebellion in Levi, in the Haitians, in their undertaking to obscure their purpose, their ministry, their priesthood ministry under the Most High and the Mashiach, that they sought to cover up by first having become priests in the Catholic Church, and then make the move that Napoleon and the Jesuit priests presided over when they did their secret meeting in the halls of the Catholic Church to bind themselves together in the Jesuit and Levitical priesthood order to enslave the nation, tribe of Yehoiada, by the institution of slavery. This is how it happened. And this is biblical history now, showing you the dangerous move and the transaction that occurred in what is called the Haitian Revolution, or the Revolution for Haiti's independence. That became a brutal war under the auspices of the fallen one, whose son, Napoleon, conducted the orchestra. I think some kind of music was going on, to serenade Levi as he was being catapulted into the anti-messiahship. This was the brilliance of Napoleon to, have his priests, the Jesuit priests, co-sign with the Levitical priests, the fallen Levitical priests, who were in rebellion against the order from their commander,